to Off the Shelf. I'm your host, Yvonne Wolf, and today our special guest is Ben Gatos. He is a ultra runner and an ultra marathoner. We will hear about his adventures in running, and his first book was called I Dream, I Ran, I Conquered. He's a dear friend of mine from Los Angeles, and welcome, Ben.
Good morning, Yvonne. Good morning. Here I am, adjusting now. We're adjusting to these conditions. What we have right now, our pandemic really hurt us.
Yes, Ben, it's so nice to chat with you since your visit to Glenview last time in 2018. So how are you doing in this quarantine? And thanks for meeting us and getting up so early to meet us in Los Angeles time.
Yes. It's like this year is really difficult. This quarantine here is very different. I was caught totally off guard. The sudden outbreak of the pandemic changed my life. Adjusting to social distancing, work from home, canceled vacation plans, no dining out, no Dodger games. It's like I miss all my favorite things. But I just try it. It's a little bit depressing at times, but I find ways to find my way out of this situation.
Yes, I see, Ben. Well, how do the virtual races work? I mean, you have been continuing training.
I heard about virtual races about 3 years ago. It was not widely accepted, but since right now the pandemic, right, a lot of races have been canceled. So the organizers, what they do, instead of like throwing out waste of those medals, t-shirt, they ask rather you want to do a virtual race, you can still get the medal, the t-shirts and everything, but if you run anywhere, even in your backyard or somewhere, in your neighborhood, as long as you record the distance, show a proof that you run, let's say a marathon, right? That you run 26.2 miles, submit a proof or a picture of it, then they give you credit. They give you credit so you run the entire race. I signed for a couple of virtual races, but it was like 500 miles or 800 kilometers you have to do it in 3 months. In the beginning, I was way behind. I was at the back of the pack, right? Because I was doing treadmill, and I'm not a treadmill runner actually. So what I did to make up to gain ground on the other runners, I tried running on my neighborhood, and one time I ran even on my own driveway.
Yeah, that sounds like some creative use of space.
It took me 8 hours to run in my driveway. Like it was 62 feet drive with three car parking. All the cars out and was doing circles. And I put some of the flower pots I just put on so I can make turns. Then I submitted my proof. So they give you medals. Like this is the medal I got.
It's around the Alps run you told me about, the Swiss Alps run. Yes.
Yes.
That's
I finished
amazing.
it early. I went ahead and I opted for to extend it to another 400 kilometers. So that's what the virtual races did.
That's amazing. Now, what do you miss about the races other than the actual course? What do you
I miss about
you must see a lot of friends.
Spectators. You don't see that. I miss the big crowds, the like hand fiving or slap five with the people.
Yeah.
And like I miss the travel because nowadays I've been doing mostly runcation, like combining vacation and running. And I miss all those hanging out with friends and of course what you get, the goodies, the medals and the t-shirts.
Yes, and the bananas, the bananas and oranges.
Yeah, the bananas and the oranges, all the food, the free foods. Yeah, I miss that.
You have to send your daughter out there on the driveway with
orange slices. I don't know. Even my neighbor, probably my next door neighbor was wondering what the hell I was doing, like circling my driveway.
Right. Let's talk about your book. You have 61 ultra marathons. Now, first of all, what's an ultra marathon? Because some of our viewers probably don't know what that is.
Ultramarathons are races beyond the marathon distance. Marathon distance a marathon is 26.2 miles, and ultramarathon it starts from like 31 miles, so 50K. So a lot of runners enter the 50K. That's the first step going ultramarathons. And those who want to call themselves, right, hey, I'm an ultra runner. So they go for the 100-mile race. So
Yes.
if you get a 100-mile race, you get this buckle.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like when you get a buckle, then it signifies, hey, I'm an ultra runner. I've done a 100-mile race already.
Wow. And you have certainly a lot to show for it behind you there.
Yeah.
This is your trophy wall, I see.
Yeah, trophy-wise, I've won a few. I've won a few in my age group and a couple of overall winners. But that was at that time when I still have my speedy legs. Now
Well,
I'm slower now.
yes. Well, and how do we keep up with that? I mean, how do we keep beating your personal best? Is this sustainable as we age?
Yes, the age, like now, since I've lost a speed already, now I listen to my body more.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't push as much because I don't know. For me, I had nothing to prove already. I've done the best I can. So I still try to push a little bit. My age, just try to keep myself fit. Like in this kind of situation, there's
Yes.
like I mix biking,
Mm-hmm.
running, hiking.
Yes.
Unlike before that, I just keep running and running, and I tend to get injured.
Yes. Well, Ben, you told me before you do trail running. How is that different? What's trail running compared to?
Trail running is like mostly like you run on dirt. I used to be a lot of road running, and road running I tend to get injured a lot because
Mm.
like your bones, right?
Uneven, right?
It's
Uneven
even you
surface.
keep pounding on, say, on your left knee or something, you keep pounding. Whereas if you run on trails, it varies. Like
Yes.
your muscles vary, and sometimes your speed. Like usually, if I go
Mm.
uphill,
Uphill. Uh-huh.
I do a fast walk, and then I make it up on when I running downhill or on the flats.
Now, in your first book, this is your first book.
Yes, yes.
And let's talk a little bit about your first book, because in your first book, you mentioned your good friend, your good running friend who died. Now, how
Yes.
has that changed your run? And what do you think about when you run now?
Like I met this guy. He's about in the 70s when I met him. I
Hmm.
was I don't know, 2000. I was about ready to hang up my running shoes. I'm done because yes, I tried to push to qualify in some big races, but I
Yes.
can't. So I was overtraining.
Mm.
And then when I met this guy, like he was 70, right? And I went to
Wow.
his office. He has too many medals, and I asked him, what keeps you running? Like at your age, like how did you make this? And then he kind of gave me advice what to do. Like running is not just about hours, minutes, and seconds. You learn
Mm.
to love it. So
Right.
that's why I got into it. So then I started go trail running,
Mm.
and I found out I'm much better on trails.
Mm.
And what I think about when I'm running, it's when I'm running, I'm totally what do you say it. My mind floats.
Mm.
I don't think about running. I think
Yeah.
about a lot of things
Yes.
away from running. Even at the time I was preparing for my architect license.
Mm.
At the same time running, I was doing question and answers, which
There's
got me like I passed the test, but that's my mind was totally out of it. It's just purely away from running.
so there's something zen about it. Your
Yes,
existence is separate from what you're doing physically. That's amazing. And I know you've gone through all night running and oh my gosh, over 30 hours of straight running.
yes.
That's incredible.
And
So,
it's different at night. I like the night running,
mhm.
but I know it's dangerous enough. You see wildlife, but I like it more. It's more serene. It's quiet.
Mm. Well, Ben, it's time to tell us about your second book.
My second book, this it's still on draft. I'm working with a publishing agent, and we just picked up the ISBN yesterday. It is called Dream. Great things are coming again.
Hmm.
This book is a continuation of my first book, and likewise, like what I did after I conquered the Badwater race in 2013. And then this about book is I wrote about this book uh, about life during this pandemic. I wrote about missing my favorite things, working
Yes.
from home, and all the positive things that that we have during this pandemic, fighting depression, reminiscing past races and adventures.
Yes. That sounds like a great topic and great continuation of this dream. Ben, we know each other from years ago as Toastmasters. How do you see Toastmaster lessons compatible with your running?
Toastmaster really has helped me a lot uh, putting together my writing race reports because I from Toastmasters I learned to compose what I write. Most of the time I share my experiences running about the races. Most of the time we only read about elite runners, what they do, and as an average runner, it's difficult to compare or relate with elite runners. So with
Yes.
Toastmasters, I was able to connect from an average runner to what actually happens in a race.
And Ben, when you were mentioning your second book, I want to let our audience know how special that Badwater race was. You were in 2013 the first Filipino runner to complete the Badwater race, wasn't it?
Yes, I was the first Filipino. The races started, I believe, in late 80s.
Yes.
And for the first time, the Philippines was represented in the race. To get into the race, you have to be invited.
Mm.
There's more than about 2,000 applicants, and they only take 100 runners per year. So you have to go to a lot of screening, and to be picked is like really an honor to be there.
I believe that Positively Filipino magazine, did they interview you for this as well?
Yes, yes, I did. I did to the Positively Filipino magazine.
Well, you have lots of things to be proud of, Ben. Now, I've recommended Toastmasters, Ben, to many writers who work and practice their public speaking, to learn to do time speaking and handle question and answers. Now, how do you find Toastmasters helpful for speaking engagements on the virtual platform?
On the virtual part, Toastmaster has helped a lot. Now, and thanks to the Zoom meetings, like the Zoom meeting help a lot. Like not like just meeting with friends or meeting with at work, right? But with virtual meetings, you you still use your props like your visual aids. Like in my case, like sometimes I talk to my boss at work and he sees my background and they recognize me that I am a runner. So, and
That's
this is my,
right.
I have a small room in an office. It's like a man cave for me. And this helps a lot, like portraying myself as a runner.
Your man corner.
Yeah. And I learned this from Toastmasters, like by using visual aids.
Yes, that's true. And they know so much more about you than just who you are at the office.
Yes.
And how about being able to speak within a time limit? How do you feel that's helped you?
I learned that too from Toastmasters, like time limit.
Mm.
I know with a speech, you generate about 7 minutes of speech. So I try to compress my thoughts, like having put it together quickly and like relaying my messages to my audience, to my listeners.
And I'm sure you do learn to tell lots of stories, Ben.
Yes, I do like tell about these stories. Like you get from the beginning, just have to pick a topic and then uh, pick maybe 3 or 4 main topics to discuss and just put the body on the message.
Well, when I read your first book, I felt there were so many beautiful stories of descriptions of sunrises on a run and the people you met that are important to you. So I really think the storytelling comes through in your first book. And I look forward to more stories in your
Yes,
second
it's more
book.
of a storytelling. Storytelling. Yes.
Well, Ben, I hear congratulations is in order. You just retired.
Yeah, I just retired. Actually, this is my first week of retirement. I wasn't planning to, but hey, let's.
It's a good time.
They gave us the city. They gave us the city an option to retire. Otherwise, we have the furlough next year. So
Yes.
now I have more time. More time running. Maybe I can write another book.
Well, you've been a frequent recurring writer for Runners magazine, aren't you?
Yes, yes, I'm a frequent contributor to Ultra Running Magazine and another one in the Philippines and some newsletters. I share my race reports and sometimes running tips or experiences being as a runner on one side and sometimes being as a crew member. Sometimes you think of it, what does the runner do, right? On
Mm.
the other hand, not too many people knows what being a member of the crew, it actually it's more pressure. Like you have to think,
Oh, ahead of the
what my
runners,
runner
right?
needs.
Yeah, you're thinking of ahead of them. What's going to happen in the next
Yeah.
hour or so. That's interesting. That's a really nice way to volunteer and to help other people. Do you ever hear back from your readers?
Yes, I get a feedback from my readers, and they sometimes when you write race reports, it gives you give them an idea what to expect on the race, so they can better prepare. Sometimes, like if you go to a race, you don't know where it is, you don't know what you
No,
encounter.
no, you don't.
Different place.
And
And if
especially,
I run it, they have an idea of what sections to be had to be more
yes,
careful or be afraid of or where to push and when not to push.
yes. So you know the route or you know the logistics and you
Yes,
know what to prepare them for. That's
yes,
amazing. That's a really like being the mentor that we talk about so much in Toastmasters too.
yes,
So you are the eyes and ears for them.
yes. I try to, because sometimes if you only read about elite runners, the big times, like they can win, whatever shoes they wear or whatever equipment they get, right? But as an average runner, it's totally different. You can relate better.
So Ben, what advice do you have for our viewers who are writers, who are burgeoning writers? What kind of advice do you have for them?
Like on this time, just be strong, positive, and remain focused. And on writing, just express what you feel. Just express what you feel in a way that sometimes runners they tend to focus on what they wear, like the advertising. It's not the way. Just anybody can wear that. Just like
Mm.
whatever you feel it is. Show like right to your heart.
Well, that's a really good that's a really good tip. Writing is about your feelings and who you are at the moment, right?
Yes.
I know you have traveled the world over on many races. Can you tell us a few things about those runs abroad? Since right now is a good time to reminisce and think about
Not
those
really not
things that
abroad.
we can't
I go
travel.
to other states. I've been in the Philippines, but different too. Sometimes you think we're in the U.S. We think of mileage, or we think of miles. The English system measurement. When
Yes.
you go to other countries, sometimes you go to like Canada,
Uh-huh.
Philippines, then you think metric.
Yes, kilometers, right?
A lot, right? Sometimes you run on the race and you see a sign of 13. You feel like you're mile 13, but actually you're not. You're only on like 6 miles.
Yes, that's right. That must play with your mind. What
Yes,
is your
like
accomplishment?
you have to think metric, or you have to think like what you learn in high school, conversion, all these
Yes.
things.
And I would imagine in America, the roads are much nicer and, the wider. There's just so many nice things that the grading is better in America, I would imagine.
Yes, yes, I
Or
think
North
so.
America, let's say. I know
Yes, I
there's a
think
big
so.
difference with Canada, but you've run, haven't you run in Ireland or
Where again?
Ireland?
No, no, I
Oh
haven't
no,
been to
not
Ireland
not
yet.
Ireland. Okay, but you've been to Chicago.
I went
So
to Chicago, yes.
in Chicago, you had to be. You told me it's a lottery system.
Yeah, Chicago, you have been in the lottery. New York too, you have to be in the lottery. Some races like London, Japan, most of the big races, because they have a limit. I think Chicago, they have 40,000 runners and they have about 200,000 applicants.
Oh yeah,
Unless you're a
yes.
fast runner, you can qualify by time.
Wow, that has changed a lot, don't you think? In the years that you've been running, hasn't that the interest in running just so much more
Just like,
now?
yes, the popularity is so big time.
Yes.
Even
I
when I
mean,
went to the Philippines, I was surprised that it's a running fad. It's like it's too many runners now.
yes, I
Before,
see.
not too many. You see on the races schedules, you see only a few. But nowadays, it's everywhere. So every week there are marathons. Sometimes 4 day of marathon race, and right now you have the virtual. It's like selling like pancakes. It motivates people to get back to running.
I see. I see. And how do you prove your running records by virtually? You mentioned something on your phone. Is it a certain
You
app?
can virtually some races it's an honor system. They give you a log sheet where you log the mileage. Some they're really kind of strict that you want to show them your Garmin, your smartphone watches showing the distance and the time finish. So it kind of varies.
So Ben, tell us the publishing of your book. Will will your new book be the same publisher as your first book?
Yes, my book is it's a self-published book. I have a friend who puts it together. He lives in the East Coast in Massachusetts. So he helped me out to put it together. I gave him a draft, edited, and I put together. My daughter designed the book cover. So everything's set now. Like he puts it together, and then once it's ready, we we submit it to Amazon for publishing.
Hmm, I see. So do you have an editor, or he is your editor too? Then
I have an editor. I have
you
an
do,
editor too.
and the editor is local, or do you do all of this
The
online?
editor is local. On my first book, the editor is also from the Toastmasters.
Ah,
Ivan. He helped me a lot on putting
I
together
yes.
to like putting together writing, and he reviewed my book.
Is that Ivan Gerson, our friend,
Yes,
our mutual friend? Yes. Oh,
yes, Evan
that's
Garcia,
good.
you
You
know him.
keep, yeah, you keep him busy in his
Yes,
retirement as well. That's
but I
good.
can't find him now, so I have somebody help me out to edit my book.
Yes. Well, those are really wonderful resources. I think those will help our audience in figuring out their own books. Well, and we also have another mutual friend, Ray De La Cruz, right? And that's how we have continued to talk about your book
Yes,
writing.
yeah, I still in communication with Ray De La Cruz. He's a great friend. He has a he wrote a book, and he's really done a lot of things.
He's very good at marketing it, don't you think? You can.
Yes,
How do you market your book?
market my book. On my first book, I was only aiming if I can get 150 books out of it, I'll be happy.
Mhm.
I only have one book launching event, and that was a big hit. And most of the time, it's just through like word of mouth to my friends, to my running friends. I put
Yes.
it on Facebook, advertise it on social media, and
Hmm.
then a lot of people get interested and ask me like to get the copy. Some people give it as a gift actually, and I told them if you could get it from me, then I can sign it too.
Yes. Well, those are great ideas, great gift ideas, and
Yes,
something very encouraging. That's what I like about your book. It's so life affirming.
yes, like and I have it right now. I'm surprised. I was looking at how many books has been sold on my first book. Already I'm already way satisfied with what I have about 700 copies sold
No
out.
way! That's
Yeah, I said,
wonderful,
oh, 700.
Ben.
And all of
Congrats on
those, I only get a small portion royalty from Amazon, and
right.
all the royalty that I get, I donate it to charity.
Yes, well, that's a wonderful thing, Ben. That's such a good news you could share with us, and that's just your first book.
That's the first book, yes.
So the
Right now, a lot
second,
of people are asking, "How when the second book going to be released?" I told them, "Not yet. It's still putting it together, final
so
touch."
you have a good base for your second book, and how many you're going to
Yes,
order for the
yeah.
second one. Ben, it's a pleasure having you on our program.
Thank you for having me in your program, Yvonne, of this off the shelf. I've been following all your videos that you send me about the program, and I've heard about it, and I've seen a lot of good people talking about their writings.
Well, thank you. That's wonderful. If you can share that on Facebook. And thank you for watching. And join us next time on Off the Shelf.